getting into the whole Utah thing, were you driving back?
So yeah, we decided to drive back and rather go from A to B, decided to do a few pit stops along the way. So we had seen Zion National Parks along the way, Bryce Canyon. I've always wanted to try sandboarding, and there's the coral pink sand dunes right in that area as well. So we thought we would take a few extra days and see all the sites that route offers and take that all in as well, rather than just go from Phoenix back to Calgary.
Totally, because that's a long drive.
Yeah.
The sandboarding looked really cool.
That was unbelievable. I've wanted to do that forever. And just the sand color, everything. We lucked out, had such a gorgeous blue sky. The pictures were unbelievable with the color contrast.
Yeah. So how does that work? You just like climb it yourself? And
yeah.
Then,
So I mean, it's kind of tricky because it's the sand's fairly deep. But yeah, you just kind of hike up to the top of the sand dune, and you can rent a board right there at their visitor center.
Oh, you did rent a board. Okay, I was wondering. I'm like, did you bring a snowboard
just
with you? Or?
Constantly carrying around a snowboard in Arizona.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like a super. I would say that the market for snowboards in Arizona is not very big.
However, my winter snow pants I've bought down in Scottsdale in Arizona before.
Yeah, but that makes sense because
so they got Flagstaff. And,
totally.
Yeah.
Like they have a lot of that actually makes sense because they have a lot of Canadians, right?
And the snowboards.
So there is a market. Yeah, there is a market for it for sure. Because then you're gonna buy it in the States and bring it back. Yeah. That makes sense. Or I guess people that live there traveling.
Yeah.
So okay, so you go to Utah, and where? Okay, was it Zion?
Zion, where?
Yeah. So like, just tell me the story of like this whole ordeal.
Climbing.
Yeah, this climbing thing.
So it wasn't at Zion. It was in between Zion and Bryce Canyon.
Okay.
So we had finished a couple days at Zion and sandboarding at the sand dunes. And before Bryce Canyon, I had seen that there's these Moki caves, and they're kind of a little bit of a trek up a sandstone rock formation, and they looked beautiful. I thought, hey, how much time do we have? Could we head there in the morning before we head off to Bryce Canyon? And we said, sure, why not? Like, let's check it off while we're here. Yeah. So we drove up, and there's no signs, nothing's labeled. You just kind of hike in a little bit, and then you see what looks kind of like a trail where you're kind of thinking that's where people start. And I had read prior the trails kind of classified as intermediate. It's not the easiest to begin with because sandstone's very slippery, and you get that sand on the top layer, and you can slide very easily.
So good shoes.
So make sure you have good shoes are a must. And what we saw was what we thought we saw with the trail. We decided to go in a bit more just to make sure. We could always go back, and we were kind of tight for time since we wanted to hit up Bryce Canyon. And after hiking in a bit more, about 5 minutes or so, we get to the bottom of these cliffs, are about 88 feet up. And I saw what looked like a fairly decent route up that would save time, get us on the road quicker, check, do the Ks and be on our way. And it did not turn out to be a easier or quicker way after all. And I ended up getting stuck about 80 feet up and not knowing what to do. And it was, this is the first time I've really talked about it. This is just 2.5 weeks ago. And it was, the scariest moment of my life. I thought I was kind of traversing horizontal more and would try to make my way to the left side of this sandstone formation, and then I would go up, and from that point I could decide if there was enough divots to climb from that area. And I hadn't realized, just because the sandstone formation, it kind of looks like waves, if you've ever seen one of those formations.
Well, that's
before.
What you said, is it was really hard to judge
how steep it was. So I thought I was just kind of scaling, maybe going up a few feet here or there, and you're focused on your next hand and foot moves. So you're not really looking at how high you're actually going. And by the time I actually had looked down, I hadn't realized how high I had gotten. And there was no spot for my next hand move or foot move, and was literally hanging on by my fingertips and tips of my toes for about 20 minutes. And,
oh my God.
And my parents witnessing that, not knowing what to do themselves. So much happened even on the ground that I didn't even know until after, which was happening. There was a couple that had come across this and had realized the situation, and I didn't learn till after that he was 80 years old, this gentleman, and at one point I guess he had started to go up where I went to try to get at me. His wife was losing his mind. My parents say that he's 80 years old. What is he gonna do? But what a guy to risk now himself to try to get to me. And then after about 20 minutes or so, I saw there was possibly one area I could get a hand in. And from the very little rock climbing experience I have, thanks to ex-boyfriends that planned cute dates at the climbing center, I knew to at least, so I don't know whether to blame them or thank them for some of the tips that I had in this ordeal, or that instilled the false confidence in me to think I could do something like this.
Yeah, we'll split the difference on that
jury's
one.
Still out on that, but at least I had enough experience to know that you get the strength from your leg and to try to focus on your foot move first. So I'd seen kind of a little bit of a divot that I could get my foot in and kind of go for a Hail Mary to try to get my hand in that one last spot that would be able to hopefully pull me up. Like, I'm literally probably a foot or two from the top. Oh. Just with my height being so short, there was nowhere to go other than to try to make this last Hail Mary. So
my heart's racing. I can't even imagine.
It was, like, it's still hard to put in. It was like I said, it's first time talking about it. And so I got my foot in that divot that I saw, tried to use my leg strength to push myself up and do kind of the Hail Mary grab, missed, started sliding, and how to this day still, I do not know, somehow stayed gripped with my feet, sliding down the sand, managed to find other little crevices to get stuck, and it's literally just tips of my toes and then my hands. And at that point I was even more terrified, having just done that and thinking, okay, that was it. My legs started shaking and tremoring uncontrollably.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, at this point, I'm sure adrenaline is like coursing through you.
Yeah.
But you have got to be exhausted.
Oh, every single ounce of strength I had, I was using. Like, I still have marks on my wrists and my knees. Oh my God, you do. From it. Just my neck and back, just from grabbing on so tight, and just what that did on the body as well. Oh. It was, and just how I made it out of it is why and how I, how.
Well, it's wild. Yeah. It's wild. So you're holding on.
So I'm holding on after the Hail Mary, and at this point I'm starting to think, okay, I don't have an option other than this is it, to fall.
And you're 80 feet in the air?
I didn't even realize how high I was. After I Googled how high the caverns, the caves are, they're at about 88 feet. Okay. And I was...
So you're probably 75... Well, no, you're probably 80 feet.
Yeah, because by the time I got to the top from the man that ended up getting me up, it was probably about 5 feet or so to the caves.
Okay, yeah. So you're over 80 feet at this point. Oh, my God.
And... yeah, so at this point I'm thinking, what's the best way to fall that will give me any chance of survival and the least amount of injuries, and
yeah, that's going to put you in the hospital and not in a grave.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, okay, make sure the head's covered. But at the same time, I still have the false hope that, okay, that I knew that probably wasn't still the best option. So at this point, I'm still just focusing on hanging on for dear life, and just some type of miracle or something will happen. And right before I started to think of, okay, how do I fall, the lady of the couple that came across us stepped back a little bit. And while she did that, she was able to see at the top, and there happened to be a man probably in his late 20s, maybe early 30s, that was there. And she just started screaming for help, said there's someone stuck right underneath, right below, right there,
because he wouldn't have seen you.
And then I heard his voice, so then I just started screaming for help too. And he was able to get down and just grabbed onto my wrist. And at this point too, I'm still thinking, like, it's one thing if this doesn't go well for me, I don't want to bring someone else down with me. So I just like, are you sure you're okay? Like, before we do this, like, you have a good grip, you're going to be okay, because I don't want something happening to someone trying to save me as well. So made sure he was okay, and he was able to just grab me by the wrist. And
because that's the thing, is like, that's sometimes how those stories go, where it's just like,
one tragedy turns into two, or
Yeah.
the rescuer ends up going down as well. So yeah, just yeah.
So he pulled you up.
So he's able to pull me up, and
What? So you're now on the top of this rock, and I know this is a stupid question, but I mean, like, what's your thought process?
I think I was in a state of shock. I think I still actually to this day am still in a state of shock
I'm
to
sure
some
you
point,
are.
and just thanking him probably 1,000 times, and just wanting to just get up there and sit down and kiss the rock. And at that point, yeah, my mind is just completely racing. I'm exhausted. My body was...
I'd be laying face down, spread eagle on the flattest surface I could find, being like, I don't want to move from this spot for the next fucking 4 hours.
And that did cross my mind, but I thought, I'm never going to get back up if I go down.
No, it's true. That's true.
I was actually, and then I decided to, okay, do I follow him back, which would probably have been the smartest idea, to just have someone again on my way back down, and just to get back down as quickly as possible, and take the trail that is supposed to be taken.
Yeah, the right trail.
But then in my own stubborn mind, I thought, I'm up here now. I may as well enjoy these darn caves that I've almost died for. So I go, take some pictures and enjoy the caves. Okay. Well, my heart is beating still like 200 beats a minute.
Oh my God. Only you. And you know what? I knew you were gonna say something like that, where, oh yeah, I still went and enjoyed the caves. Of course you did. Knowing you, 100% you did. You're like, oh yeah, you're dying on the inside, but you're like smiling for photos. You're like, I just about died half an hour ago, but I smiling.
I actually do have a selfie.
I know you do.
You can still see the fear in my face, but yeah, I did a smiling selfie at the caves. And it's funny though too, not funny, but you can see pictures of how we did Zion a couple days earlier, and I'm probably 1,000 feet up on a wooden, what's the word I'm looking for?
Bridge?
Thank you. How do you say one word sounds like?
Thing you walk across joining two bridge.
So a bridge, thank you.
Five-letter it's just 6
letters.
Word
or 6.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, it wouldn't be.
Wouldn't be a wordle, no. So yeah, I'm 1,000 feet up, getting on this old wooden bridge at Zion, and being the usual daredevil that I am, but the pictures of Bryce Canyon, where we went right after this cave experience, you can see I'm a little more reserved and not going near any edges.
No.
in those pictures.
Because I like knowing you as long as I have, and from like your Instagram and stuff like that, you definitely are you're a very outdoorsy person, and you're definitely I wouldn't say, like, I don't know, daredevil's probably not the word I would use, but yeah, you're definitely more adventurous.
Take some risks,
yeah,
and live life in the fast lane a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's something that I admire about you, because I'm not that person at all. Oh my God.
And this probably slowed me down a bit. I'm definitely more cautious now.
I mean, that's not a bad thing.
No, yeah. Well, like that, and processing all of this is why did this happen? What is the lesson from it?
Yes.
And to me, that's one of the biggest lessons, is I need to slow down and not thinking I'm so invincible. And